All right, guys, we're on the last part of our journey. It's category 6, security and management. All right, let's go ahead and see how it ties everything together. Okay, let's see. So it says perfect. This is the final core category, ties everything together. If compute is your run on your app, storage is store your data, networking is connect everything, messaging is communication between systems. They forgot about database, which is storing data, because storage is just kind of just storing it. Database actually has how we receive that data, like editing. But all right, whatever. Security allows us on how our data is protected and allows who to do what. Okay, well, this is everywhere on the exam, not always obvious, but constantly tested. All right, well, let's go ahead and go through this. Let's see, what is AWS security? So security is all about verifying identities, which identities have which permissions, data protection, and monitoring. See, 4 pillars we must know is IAM, which is who can do what, KMS, which is, I guess, encryption, Secrets Manager, which is credentials, and CloudTrail, which is monitoring and auditing. Okay, let's go ahead and go through the first one. So IAM stands for, okay, let's see. IAM stands for identity and access management. Okay, so what problem does IAM solve? Well, we don't want everyone accessing everything, and we don't want credentials to be hard coded literally everywhere. We want controlled and secure access. Okay. Okay, so IAM components. Component 1 is a user, which is a person or an app. They have login credentials, okay? And a group is a collection of users, and they all share the same permissions. Now we have different roles, which is really important. Temporary permissions. So it's used by EC2, Lambda, and cross account access. Okay. So a user is like one person, and a group is a group of people with the same amount of permissions. And I guess a role is kind of like a box, and we just call it role. And we could move people in and we could move people out of the role, right? Just temporary permissions. Okay. So policy, I guess we also have policies which defines our permissions in JSON. So here's a real example. EC2 needs to read from S3. Well, that's bad. Store access keys in code. The correct way of actually doing this is attach an IAM, which is an interface access management role to EC2. So I'm guessing that EC2 is like a box and it has an IAM, which tells you who has access to this EC2 and who doesn't. Let's see, identity and access management. Okay. Okay. The most important rule: we should never hardcode credentials. Instead, we should use IAM roles. So an exam pattern could be secure access, no credentials in code, EC2 needs access to S3. That's an IAM role. I think this could be low-key confused. Well, if EC2 needs access, this would also be seen as a VPC. But I guess in this role it's IAM, so it's for security reasons. Okay. So now we go to KMS, which stands for Key Management Service. I guess it's like an encryption service. So what does it solve? We need to protect sensitive data, control encryption keys, and audit usage. So what does it do? So it creates encryption keys so that, let's say if we send a message, let's say something like hi, it'll be encrypted to like, I guess like random letters and symbols. And then from there we could decrypt it back to hi. Encrypts and decrypts data, so okay, it creates encryption keys. So that we'd need a key. And with that key we could go ahead and encrypt and another key to decrypt. So it logs key usage. Okay, cool. So key management service. Cool. Types of encryption. Okay, now we have different types of KMS. So there is AWS encrypts the data for you, which is server-side encryption. And SSE KMS uses KMS keys. So server-side encryption KMS. So benefits audit logs, fine grain control, automatic rotation. Okay, so I guess SSE is where this Amazon does everything for you, and I'm guessing SSE KMS is where you kind of have to do it yourself, so you get more control. Let's see. If you see audit key usage, rotate keys, and secure encryption, we know that it is SSE KMS. Next is secret managers and parameter stores. So it just stores sensitive data such as password and API keys. So we don't want our passwords in code and credentials in config files. So we use secrets manager, which is the best option for credentials. So it features automatic rotation, secure storage, and integrations with RDS. Okay. So secrets managers basically is just hiding the password in code. So encryption. Parameter store. It's a more simpler version than secrets manager. Let's see. It stores configuration and it can encrypt. Oh, okay. Let's see. So secret manager. So right here we could see that secrets manager actually has an automatic rotation, while for parameter store we'd have to do it manually. And we would use this as for credentials and parameter stores for storing configurations. Okay. Okay, so we could say secrets manager is for credentials. Okay, because you want to keep your credentials a secret. And what was the other one? Parameter store is for configurations. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next section, which is CloudTrail and AWS config. Okay, so CloudTrail, it kind of just, I guess it looks at your trail, so it just logs your API calls. Kind of like a monitoring system, so I'd say CloudTrail.
You want chicken?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I brought some shillin home.
Oh, sick.
Try some.
Okay.
Are you recording something right now?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad, bruh.
In the middle of talking about AWS, bro. I've been doing this all morning. I'm finally on the last category, security, IAM roles, secrets manager, CloudTrail. Alright, so CloudTrail kind of just logs API calls, so you could monitor whatever activity is happening on your server. So we could see who deleted your S3 bucket and who launched the EC2. So it's kind of just like a logging system. Is CloudTrail, so you could see the trail that someone left behind. It's nicely named. Let's go on to and move on to AWS config. So we go ahead and track our resource configuration. For example, what time S3 became public and which security groups have changed. And if we see something like detect changes and compliance, we could assume that that will be an AWS config problem. So one is like checking logs, and another is checking compliance. Let's see, let's go back. Okay, so CloudTrail versus config. So CloudTrail is good for API calls, and it's good for auditing. Well, config is good for resource state and compliance. So config is to make sure that you're in the right configuration, such as IAM roles, to see who hadn't changed it. CloudTrail is more for those API calls and making sure that you're auditing correctly. Let's go ahead and learn more about the security services that they have to offer. So we have AWS Shield, which is great for DDoS protection, and it's standard and automatic. And there's an advanced version which is enhanced. So anything that mentions protecting from DDoS, which is denial of service, we could go ahead and use Shield Advanced. Alright, next is AWS WAF, which WAF stands for Web Application Firewall. So this protects against XSS and SQL injection. So it kind of reads the code before running it, or runs those SQL commands. So that's good for WAF, Web Application Firewall. So from the application level, we could go ahead and inspect and see if there's any attacks. So the other one was Guard, which is good for DDoS, denial of service. Well, WAF is good for web attacks. We could see because web attacks start with W, and WAF starts with W as well. Guard duty is also good for threat detection. Let's go ahead and go there. Okay, we could see that guard duty is good for threat detection. So it goes ahead and just figures out if anything is suspicious or if there's any compromised instances. It doesn't actually do anything other than just detect. So that would be guard duty. All right. You can think of it like this. A guard kind of just looks out. They look out. Looks out. But doesn't really actually do anything. Doesn't take action. Why? Well, a shield actually does help out. And the shield is for DDoS. And before that was WAF, which is good for web protection. Next is Macie, which finds out some sensitive data. Let's say if you leak something, like put your credentials, your API credentials or something online, Macie would go ahead and find that sensitive data. It's good for detecting things. For example, it would protect P11 and S3. So now we gotta find encryption at rest versus in transit. So at rest, it's data stored and data is encrypted, which includes S3, EBS. S3 was storage. EBS is There's also storage, EC2 storage, and RDS, which is Amazon storage. So in transit, it would be known as HTTPS and SSL. Exam pattern we see is secure data transfer would be HTTPS. Elastic block storage, RDS. Relational data storage. Okay, now we go ahead and review everything real quick. We have EC2, which is IAM role. That's a good architecture. S3, what SSE KMS, which is a storage with KMS, which was let's see. Okay, I forgot what that was. I'll review this again. Database credentials in Secrets Manager, CloudTrail logs to see all the actions for auditing, configure, monitor compliance, make sure that the configuration is good, making sure that there is nothing outside. WAF is to protect the web app. Okay, example, we see IAM role and EC2 needs access. Rotate credentials, Secrets Manager. Audit actions would be CloudTrail, detect configuration changes. Encrypt with audit. Remember, SSE is encrypt with audit. Detect PII would be malice, Macy. So, okay. Hard coding credentials, we should not use that. Instead, we should use IAM roles, using IAM user instead of role. Wrong based on the service, but IAM users just for one user. Users are in a role. Confusing CloudTrail versus config and forgetting encryption type. So SSE KMS is usually the best. Teachback version. Okay. Now that IAM controls can access AWS resources, KMS manages encryption keys. Secrets Manager stores and rotates credentials. CloudTrail looks at the API activity. AWS config makes sure that the configuration is good, such as who changed the IAM role. WAF protects the web apps. Shield protects against DDoS. Macy detects the sensitive data being leaked. All right, now let's go answer these questions. An EC2 needs access to S3 securely. We should go ahead and use, let's see, rotate database. That would be Secrets Manager. Track who deleted a resource. That'd be CloudTrail. Actually, that's more like config. Actually, this is config. Right? Track who deleted a resource. That'd be CloudTrail. And let's go ahead. EC2 needs to access S3 securely. We'd use KMS. Okay, and that's the end of the video, guys. See you later.